Hoi there, small fry! It's time for one of my cynical, lukewarm, desperate trailer reaction videos. This time for Blair Witch, based on the movie Blair Witch. Actually, I hope it's not based on Blair Witch. Based on Blair Witch Project, yes. Blair Witch, no thanks. We'll talk about the movies in a minute, I guess. I'll share some thoughts. This is the video game. It was announced kind of quietly at E3. It was sort of sandwiched in among a lot of announcements at the Microsoft show. So we've got a dog. The first thing people expect when they see a dog in a video game is for the dog to die at some point. I'm sure anyone who's seen this trailer already will have had that response. When does the dog die? When does the Blair Witch eat the dog's head off? I hope that's not true. I like that that's an interesting gameplay mechanic that they're showing off. This is the first time I'm seeing this. I'm reacting au naturel. So yeah, sending the dog to do stuff. Having the camera footage, I think that's an obvious... Outlast's done that already, but if you're doing a Blair Witch game, you're going to have some camcorder footage, surely. Looks quite nice. Whoa! Oh, God. So I guess that's the problem with a Blair Witch game, is you don't have to definitely, but you almost have to have an actual monster or an antagonistic force for there to be some form of risk, some form of... Well, just something to be scared of, I guess. Often nothing can be scarier than something, but in a video game, a palpable threat, a sense... This is what tripped up the first layers of fear as a video game, was once you realised there was no real external threat, it took a bit of the bite out of the creepiness. It's not impossible, you've just got to be really good. But clearly there are antagonistic forces as seen in that trailer, or at least the visual idea of antagonistic forces. That is something that tripped up Blair Witch, which I believe was a 2016 film, the follow-up to the Blair Witch Project, which even today, I still like it. I know that found footage has evolved since then, and there's almost that Seinfeld effect of people going back to the Blair Witch Project and maybe thinking it's corny and derivative, when it's not. It's just that the things it helped kickstart or certainly popularise has been done to death elsewhere, to the point where the originator of that craze looks a little bit hokey. I guess I shouldn't say originator. Blair Witch was not the original found footage movies. There were a couple of films beforehand that did that kind of stuff. But you know what I mean. It is to found footage what Resident Evil is to survival horror and what Overwatch is to loot boxes. Maybe not the original, but certainly the one that got copied. Paranormal Activity, of course, picked up Blair Witch's ball and ran with it, and sort of became the de facto standard, I guess, for found footage movies. And I know that found footage as a genre, a subgenre of film, is itself considered old hat, overdone, people don't really like them. I still have a real soft spot for them, but then again, I'm someone who watches Full Moon Studios pictures recreationally. I'll spend a weekend where I think to myself, no, I'm going to watch Doll Man, followed by Head of the Family, followed by Demonic Toys, like an idiot. But I've still got a soft spot for a good found footage horror film. I can tell you a good one to check out if you ever get the chance, one called The Borderlands. In America it's called Final Prayer. It's a slow burn, but it's character driven and the characters are performed really well, so it's worth watching the whole way through, and the ending is... oof. Unexpected. I'm just taking an excuse to talk about films I like because I don't get to talk about films very much. As Above, So Below is another one I like, even though it's not really a good film. It was received not very well at all. It's set in like the French catacombs and everything, but I quite liked it. It gets silly, it gets a bit cheesy, but again, given my predilection for total shit, I don't have much of a problem with it. Anyway, I liked the original Blair Witch Project, and I still do. I still find it quite watchable today, as slow as it is. And there's even a video when I did a show called Movie Defense Force on The Escapist. There's a video of me going to bat for the sequel, Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, which I at the very least admire for being something totally different and trying to approach the material in a whole new way. And I do think there is some genuinely good horror movie stuff in there. I think it was screwed over by the fact that it was ham-fistedly roped into the Blair Witch Project product. Very similar to The Exorcist 3, which stands on its own as a really good horror film, but executives squeezed it and crushed it and pushed it into the Exorcist franchise for money. I think had it not been awkwardly shoveled into the Blair Witch series, Book of Shadows could have been a good standalone horror movie on its own merit. I mean, maybe not good in the eyes of many, but I was entertained by Book of Shadows. Not so much with the modern Blair Witch movie, which I watched once and will never watch again. That was way too modern, glossy Hollywood horror. No subtlety, no tact, showing things off, or we've got to see everything, otherwise it's not scary, and we've got to have loud noises because we don't trust the atmosphere of our own films to make it scary enough. So anyway, all of this is to say, all of this rogue movie criticism that you didn't ask for is to say that I hope the Blair Witch game takes more cues from the first film than the last film. It would be much easier to take cues from the last film, but way more impressive to take cues from the first. If they can pull off a slow burn, if they can pull off being atmospheric, if they can keep their threats more hidden from view while still remaining a threat, I'll be bloody impressed. Just none of this bang bang crash wallop, monsters in your face malarkey. You want to do that, there's an audience for that, go get the rights to make a Grave Encounters game. Found footage movies have a special place in my heart, so the Blair Witch Project naturally occupies a big space of that space. So I'm intrigued and low-key excited to see what Bloober Team comes up with. And who knows, if a game based on a Lionsgate horror franchise turns out to be successful, maybe we'll get a brand new Saw game. I would love to play a new Saw game. Now let me launch into my video essay on the Saw series. Huh? Where you going? Where you going? Come back! Come back! Oh.